Hi there, I'm Seb Maley from Qdos, and in this video we'll talk about a recent announcement in the House of Lords that there will be an imminent consultation on employment status. In the lead up to the general election in 2024, one of the Labour Party's pledges centred around the three types of employment status we currently have in the UK. Those of employee, self-employed, and the third status of worker, which sits somewhere in the middle of employee and self-employed. This third status has gained significant prominence over the last few years due to the growth of the gig economy, particularly given large court cases involving the likes of Uber. Having three categories does naturally create a bit of confusion, so many were pleased to see that Labour would apparently deal with the issue head on. Once they came into power though, things went a little quiet on that front, and there was no mention of employment status or the single worker status pledge in the Employment Rights Bill. All the signs pointed towards this particular pledge being quietly brushed under the carpet, which was rather disappointing for those pushing for a simpler system. Roll on to July 2025 though, and a potentially nice surprise was discovered hidden away in a transcript from a House of Lords debate as part of the report stage of the Employment Rights Bill. Their discussion was specifically on employment status, and Baroness Jones stated that the government are committed to consult on the pressing issues with the existing framework for employment status, before going on to confirm that this consultation would be published by the end of 2025. So it seems like the pledge has not been forgotten about, and while Labour's original single worker status terminology was not specifically mentioned, I think it's natural that this will be wrapped up in what appears to be a broader consultation on status as a whole. Positive stuff on the face of it, and the consultation should definitely be supported, but I think it's worth addressing a few key points before we get too excited. Firstly, we've been here before, and not that long ago in the whole scheme of things. There was a comprehensive government consultation on employment status in 2018, which involved the DBT, the Treasury and HMRC. It covered a huge amount of ground across tax and employment law, and absolutely nothing happened as a result of it. Before that, we had the Matthew Taylor review of modern working practices in 2017, which was similarly comprehensive and also contained various recommendations and plans, none of which happened. So possibly it's third time lucky with this latest consultation, but I really hope the government do have the teeth to carry through on any sensible recommendations that are made. Secondly, we have scant detail about what this consultation will actually cover. One of the fundamental issues with employment status as a whole is that we have two distinct arms: employment status for rights and employment status for tax. The former goes through the employment tribunal system and the latter through tax tribunals, and whilst they occasionally use mutual case law, the two jurisdictions are otherwise completely separate. The third status of worker we mentioned earlier, for instance, doesn't exist in tax law, meaning that those who hold that status are in a real no man's land from a tax perspective. The suggestion is that this consultation may be driven by the DBT rather than HMRC, but it is absolutely imperative that both tax and employment rights are considered together, and that any solution results in the alignment of the two. Otherwise, any intended simplification could have the complete opposite effect. It's also important to recognise that there are two potentially conflicting problems which need to be addressed in employment status, both of which were referenced in the Lords debate. At one end of the scale, you have workers who are perhaps in lower paid roles who are pushed into self-employment, but in reality should have and deserve the protections that employment affords. At the other end of the scale, there are those who want to be self-employed and are completely cognizant of the risks involved, but many have been forced into being employed for tax purposes as a result of things like the reformed IR35 or off-payroll rules. Both are important issues to address. The challenge will be to find a system which protects or supports both without unfair disadvantage. So details of this consultation should be imminent, and we will keep you informed of any announcements or developments. For now, we're feeling positive that an important area is apparently being considered, but there is clearly much discussion to be had and much work to be done. We'll see you next time.